Hello, so answers for yesterday's questions. So a train travels, let's see if I can zoom in a bit, there you go. A train travels 24 miles in 30 minutes, find its average speed. So I'm going to do this one slightly different from how I might another way, because I'm going to do it far more logically, okay? I'm going to say he travels 24 miles, can't spell miles, I'm writing minutes here, 24 miles in 30 minutes. So with speed is always miles per hour, meters per second. So if I want miles per hour, I don't want 30 minutes, I want 60 minutes because that's an hour. So if we think about our ratio again, what do I do to 30 to turn it into 60? Times it by 2. What am I going to do to my miles? I'm going to go twice. So that is going to be 48 miles in 60 minutes. So he goes 48 miles per hour. And that's question 1. Okay. So question 2. I am going to do this one using the formula that you need for speed. So speed equals distance over time. And you know that because it's miles per hour. Okay. You may have seen this in science, you may have seen a speed distance triangle where you say speed is distance over time. Either one, they're exactly the same. You can see distance is up here, time's down there, speed's next to it. If you rearrange them, you can do it either way. Okay, so we complete 3,000 miles. So I'm going to draw it. I'm going to use a triangle, just because that's how you do it in science. So we may as well just have the same way for both. So distance is 3,600 miles, and his speed is 540 miles per hour. And I want to know the time. Okay, so you can see from my speed, distance, time triangle, I've got to do a divide. So I've got to do the calculation, I'm getting my calculator out. 3,600 divided by 540. 3,600 divided by 540 is, 6 2/3 of an hour. Okay, now I perhaps could leave it like this, but because it says hours and minutes, I'll leave it an hour. So that's 6 hours. Now 2/3 of an hour. So 60 minutes divided into 3 is going to be 20 minutes. So 1/3 of an hour is 20 minutes. So 2/3 of an hour is 40 minutes. Okay, scroll up. Question 3. A motorcyclist completes a journey at an average speed of 65 miles per hour in 3.5 hours. Find the distance. So I want the distance. The speed is 65 and the time is 3.5. You can see they're next to each other, so I just do 65 times 3.5. 65 times 3.5 is 227.5 and the unit miles. So that was question 3. Really did not want to do that. There you go. Right, question 4 then. A runner ran a 400-metre race in 1 minute 35 seconds. Find his average speed in miles per hour. Oh, okay, so this is slightly trickier. Really tricky. Because, I say really tricky, it's not really tricky actually, it looks really tricky, but I don't think I've mentioned a fact that you're going to need, okay? You might have been organised enough to go and Google it yourself, but we don't know how many metres there are in a mile, okay? So you need to know, and this is a fact that you need to know, is you need to know 1,600 metres is equal to 1 mile. Okay, so I know that because when I was at school I used to have to run the 1600 metre race and I hated it, but I knew it was a mile long. There's also another thing that you can learn and it will give you the same ratio as 8 kilometres is the same as 5 miles. Okay, so either one of those facts you can learn and you can work it out from here. So I don't want 1,600, I want 400 metres. I want that as a fraction of a mile, so to turn 16 into 4, I divide by 4. So I have to do the same to the other side. So it's a quarter of a mile he goes. Okay, so he goes a quarter of a mile in 1 minute 35 seconds. Okay. Not particularly nice still. What I've got to look at, so I'm just trying to think of the easiest way to do that. I've got to get this into an hour. Okay, because it's miles per hour. So I want this in terms of an hour. Okay, so an hour we know is 60 minutes. So I've got to turn 1 minute 35 into 60 minutes. Now, I'm not going to be able to do it right from here. I'm going to have to do a middle step. Okay, so 1 minute, happy with, that's a 1. I've got to turn 35 seconds into a decimal or a fraction of, 35 seconds into a fraction or a decimal of a minute. So it's 35 over 60. I can cancel that down, but that cancels down to 7 over 12. So 7/12 of a minute. Okay, so now I've got to look at what do I do to turn 1 7/12 into 60. And this is where I wish I hadn't got my scientific calculator with me, which I don't. Okay, so I'm just doing it without my scientific calculator, so it's a slightly different way. So what I've got to do is I've got to do 60 divided by that to work out what I have to times by here. Okay, so can I edit it? No. 60 divided by 1.58. Ugh, it's not even a nice number. It's probably a nice fraction. I know this is a fraction. It's a really horrible question. Yeah, it probably works nicely as a fraction looking at it. Okay, so if I do it as a fraction, going right back to the work we did in September, 60, I want to divide 60 by 1 and 7 over 12. So I've got to turn it into an improper fraction, so that's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 over 12. And then I've got to flip the second fraction and change the sign. So that's 720 over 19. So I've got to times that by 720 over 19. So 720 over 19 times by a quarter. 720 over 19 times 4, 76. They're both even, so let's half that, so that's what, 360 over 38. They're both even, so half that. 180 over 19. How many 19s then in 180? Turn it into a mixed number. So that's going to be 9 19s, sorry. 9 19s are 171, so that's 9 19s left over. So the speed he's travelling at is 9 and 9/19 of a mile per hour. So the final answer is 9/19 miles per hour. I think that is clearly a misprinted question because that is horrible. Okay, but well done if you did it. Well done if you at least even followed me through that. At some points I didn't even know the best way to going about doing that one. Okay, let me know if I've made any silly mistakes on it. Okay, right, question 5. Hopefully this is easier. Looks like it might be easier. Right, yeah. Speed, distance, time triangle. Distance 380. Speed, don't know. Time, now my time is 15 minutes. 15 minutes we all should know is a quarter of an hour, so it's 5.25. So we do 380 divided by, because that's the divide sign, 5.25. Gonna go use my calculator, divided by 5.25. 5.25. 72.38 miles per hour. Question 6. A car completes a journey of 570 kilometres at an average speed of 75 kilometres per hour. Find the time taken in journey in hours and minutes. So, distance 570, speed 75, time don't know. 570 divided by 75. 570 divided by 75 is equal to 7.6 hours. So that's 7 hours, 0.6 of an hour, so that's 6/10 of an hour. A tenth of an hour is 6 minutes. So 1/10 is equal to 6 minutes. So 6/10, 6/6 is a 36, so 36 minutes. Okay. Question 7. A cyclist completes a race at an average speed of 24 miles per hour in 1 hour 15 minutes. Find the distance travelled. So another speed, distance, time triangle. 24, 15 minutes, it's a quarter, so it's 1.25. I want to know the distance, so I just times those two together. So 24 times 1.25. 24 times 1.25 is 30 miles. And lastly, number 8. A runner ran a 600 metre race in 2 minutes 17 seconds. Find his average speed in miles per hour. They seem to like question 4 and 8 as being really hard questions. Okay, so again we've got to turn metres into miles. So we've got 1600 metres is equal to 1 mile. I'm going to go down to 100 metres by dividing by 16. Divided by 16, so that's 1/16 of a mile is 100 metres. So then I'm going to times that by 6. So 600 metres is 6/16 miles, which will cancel down to 3/8, 3/8 of a mile. Okay, so there you go, 3/8 of a mile in 2 minutes, 17 seconds. 17 doesn't go nicely as so 3/8 of a mile is equal to 2 and 17/60 minutes. I need to turn that into 60 minutes. So I've got to look at what do I times there. So then I have to do the divide. So I've got to do the same thing. 6 divided by 2 and 17/60. That's the same as 60 divided by, what, 137/60. Flip it and times 60/137. 6 6s are 36. 2 zeros on the end over 137. So that's what I'm timesing it by. So that's what I've got to times this side by. Okay, so I've got to do 3 over 8 times by 3600 over 137. 36 times 3 is 216 with 2 zeros on. 137 times 8, 096. They're both even, so I can half it. So that's 108000. That's 548. They're still even. There's 5400 over 274, so still even. So that's 2700 over 137. Oh, I could have done some cross cancelling there, I see. Then, so I mean that's how many miles per hour they do. If you want it as a real number, as a number that you can have, it is 19.71 miles per hour. I'm very sorry about question 4 and 8. I hadn't looked at the answers. I hadn't looked at the questions in such detail. The first ones all seemed very easy. I didn't look at question 4 and 8 in so much detail to know that those were quite tricky. Okay, so, hopefully that's helped you a little bit go through those. Don't worry if you didn't get anywhere close to getting 4 and 8 right. You should have been able to get the 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 and 7 right. Okay, right. Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.